When the DGN file opens, you can see we've got 4 different setups right here. I'm going to zoom into the first one. It's going to be an intersection that we're creating with a civil cell. It's a T intersection. And so we need to navigate to our civil tools. Mine's already there, but if you were just on the task navigation, you would click on your civil tools to activate that workflow. And here are all my tool sets. We do have a civil cells tool set, and underneath that is a place civil cell tool, the very first tool. There's also process, create, and drop, but we'll mostly be working with placing civil cell. So identify that tool and browse to the civil cell we want. So hit the browse button there on your place civil cell. That's just one item we have, is just to identify the civil cell that you want. The way it's created basically determines how we're going to place it with references. And so for your pick civil cell, expand the T intersections and select the basic T intersection. There's other DGN libraries that we're pointing to as well, and if you highlight something, you actually can see how it updates the preview. And so in the preview, my red line is my reference elements that we're going to be identifying from graphics, and the black lines are the civil cell we're placing. So hit OK, and it identifies my civil cell name of basic T, and it lets you start placing the civil cell. So you've got to locate the reference element, secondary road center line. So this is my first reference. Secondary road center line is this red line, and it is labeled. So go ahead and data point on that red line, and then it asks you to locate the reference element through road edge of pavement. And that's the blue line. Go ahead and left click on that. And then it asks you to select elements to view alternatives. I don't want to have any alternatives here. There's the ability to, if that red line were to cross over the blue, they crisscross, then you can pick what side you want to work on. We don't have any of that, so I'm just going to right click and skip that step. And we don't want to clip any corridors in this exercise, so go ahead and right click to skip that step as well. And data point to place or accept the civil cell. And it places it in there. As soon as you left click, you can see it's in here, and we can keep going. So it says locate reference element, secondary road center line, and we can go ahead and place for configurations 2 and 3. Go ahead and just place these. Locate the first reference element, which is secondary road center line. Locate the second one, which is my through road edge pavement. Skip my alternate and corridor clipping, and data point to accept. Places that civil cell, and I place another one. Data point on this line, data point on my blue line. Right click to skip the alternatives, right click to skip the clipping, and data point to accept. And there's my basic T intersection. Pretty quick, right? Go ahead and switch back to your element selection tool and zoom in to configuration 1. We can actually grab and move our reference elements. So if you click on that reference element, the manipulators and handlers would show up. So you can change the values or grab a point and move it, trim it, extend it, and rotate. I'm going to go ahead and select the move point on this endpoint and just move it down and to the right, data point, and it updates. Grab it and move it over to the left, and that updates as well. All right, so you can edit these after the fact. We can also view this in 3D. So I'm going to open up view number 2, and you can see each one of these roads here. I'm going to zoom into the first one and rotate the view in 3D. Because in view number 1, that's the default model. That's where we do most of our work with our tool set. And then in view 2, or in the default 3D model, this is where we would check to make sure everything's creating correctly. And you can see the components there for my pavement, my curb, my sidewalk components are all being created and displayed. And so the 3D view looks pretty good. You can change this. Is currently the smooth display style. You can switch that to whatever you want and view other display settings. I'm going to close view number 2 for now. Or actually, I'll leave it open and zoom into one of my intersections. Like this first one here. Go ahead and zoom into that and manipulate this view, make it larger, smaller, move it around. We're going to make edits in view number 1. So left click on the default model, view 1. We're going to make edits in here and then see how it changes that in both the 2D and 3D models. But we're going to take a look at the Project Explorer. So everything that we're doing is storing it in the DGN, and we can take a look at our civil model, all the features that have been placed in this DGN through the Project Explorer. So go ahead and go over here to your Project Explorer and select your Civil Model tab. Right? If you don't have that Civil Model tab, I believe that would be under Settings, Project Explorer, and you can choose which tabs are set to true. It should be set to true. All those should display. Oh, now I've gotten rid of it. File, Project Explorer. All these tabs should be displayed, but if they weren't, just in case, that's where you would go. And click on that Civil Model tab and expand with the plus sign, expand your DGN file, and then expand your civil cells, and you can see all 3 civil cells that are being placed. You can actually even highlight them. You click on that first one, that's your first civil cell. Go ahead and hit the plus sign and expand the civil cell, expand your dependent elements, and you can see what makes up this civil cell. So there's linear template, road, edge of pavement, 8. So the linear template is what's being run along my edge of pavement. So there's curb and sidewalk and cut and fill. And there are 4 of these. Click on that first one, linear template road EOP 8, and expand that. And we're going to make an edit to our template. So expand that, expand the templates, and then right click on the template drop and edit that template drop. When you click on this, it brings up your dialog for editing the roadway designer template drop, and it's not making a change to the initial template. Right? That's not what we're changing. What we're changing is that linear template for that station range along that side of that pavement. Okay, just that one dependent element that we selected. So we want to delete everything to the right of our curb. So right click and say delete components, and swipe, hold down your left click and swipe across everything that you want to delete. Okay, and then I let go of my mouse and it deletes those. You can also right click and delete these extra points as well. So all we're left with is a curb. Once it's just a curb there, you can hit OK, and it processes and updates the linear template. So now you can see in my 2D model, just have a curb, and if we go and switch back to the 3D model, you can see it updates there as well. No sidewalk or cut to fill.